Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Welcome to the opening event of Season 3 of SailGP, the Bermuda Sail Grand Prix, which is presented by Hamilton Princess. I'm your host, David Garino. I'm a presenter for Sky Sports and hold the rights for SailGP in the United Kingdom. I'm excited to be speaking to you live from the beautiful Hamilton Princess on the British Overseas Territory of Bermuda, looking across the stunning turquoise waters to Bermuda's Great Sound, where this weekend we can expect more drama, more adrenaline, more rivalries, more technology and more impact as we kick off SailGP Season 3. Over the next 45 minutes or so, we'll be meeting the stars of the show, the sport's best athletes, who will be entertaining you not only this weekend but throughout the season. And if last season is anything to go by, get ready to be on the edge of your seat as we see who makes it early, breaking the championship, and if anyone can get close to two-time SailGP champion Tom Slingsby and his Australia team, or maybe this is as close as they get. For those new to SailGP, this is undoubtedly the most exciting racing on water. World-class drivers piloting identical F50 catamarans racing at highway speeds on a tight race course close to shore. What is not to love? And don't forget, it's not just the championship trophy that the athletes are vying for this season, but also the Impact League, a first in sport which was launched last year. So it is 2 podiums for the season and 2 champions, one for the racing, one for the planet. It's all part of SailGP's race for the future, working towards a better sport and a better planet. And both of these trophies, you can see them on display here today. So let's get started. Our press conference will take place in 2 halves. We have a star-studded lineup for you today. So let's welcome our first 5 drivers. In the centre, the undisputed king of SailGP with 2 championship titles under his belt and an Olympic gold medal, Tom Slingsby from Australia. And then the remainder from left to right, 3-time Olympic medalist, America's Cup winner, and last season's Impact League winner, Pete Burling of New Zealand. The most decorated Olympic sailor of all time, so then Ainsley, driver of the Great Britain SailGP team. 2-time America's Cup winner Jimmy Spittle for the US team, and round the world ocean race Nikolai Sedstedt from the Denmark SailGP team, presented by Rock Hall. Welcome to you one and all. Thank you for spending the time ahead of the start of the season and this first event here in Bermuda. Tom, I'll start off with you if I may. It was only 6 weeks ago. We were in San Francisco. You became SailGP champions for the 2nd consecutive time. It feels like it's been a lightning quick turnaround. You barely had time to take it in and breathe. You just straight back to business for you, Tom, now.
Yeah, obviously we would have liked a bit more time to sort of relax and enjoy the moment, but Season 3 is here and we're excited to get back into racing.
So 2 seasons, 2 trophies. Fair to say, therefore, you are the dominant team. What's the secret to that?
For me, it's probably keeping a solid team together for so long. You see a lot of these teams have been changing their crew lineup and trying to find the right fit. I feel like we found the right fit straight away, and these are guys I've started with for 10 years, so I knew that we were going to gel well together. And our team really hasn't changed since the very first race of SailGP. We're pretty much identical. And so, yeah, we've got a lot of continued crew work, and we know what the other ones are thinking, and that's a big advantage in a fleet like this.
So as you know, SailGP, the calendar is expanding into Season 3. We will have 11 races all in all. Biggest season today. How do you keep and maintain that competitive edge?
It's going to get tougher and tougher. Obviously, the teams are getting better and better, and they're going to start catching us. And also, I think as everyone gets more competitive and with more events, we now have pretty severe collision penalty points, and the boats are getting closer, and it's really going to be just staying out of trouble. We saw a few of the teams, their seasons were ruined with getting penalty points from collisions. If we can get through first half of the year without too many scratches on the boat and extra penalty points. I think we'll be looking pretty good. We're pretty solid in most wind conditions, but lighter airs still can be a bit of a weakness for us. We've got to clean up our game there and then wait for the wind where the Australians rebel.
You mentioned that as an excuse last year. I didn't buy it then, I don't buy it now. You had some days training out on the Great Sounds, Tom. What did you know well? How's it gone? Who you got your eye on as well? Who else looks sharp in training as you look across the fleet?
Yeah, training's going really well for us. It's been a great sort of pre-season block. This is really the only event where we get to do a really good block of training and get our guys trained up and spare sailors trained up. We've had our female athlete, Tash Bryan, doing a lot of steering. She's done quite a few hours. Actually, before yesterday, she's probably done more steering than me this week. And so she's looking very sharp and looking forward to when the women can hit the water in anchor. And then for the other teams, everyone's really doing well. I was really surprised with the new teams, Canada and Switzerland, in training. I thought they were really a surprise back at their boat handling. Their boat speed was very good. And then I guess they've just got to get used to the racing and the starting. And then, as you would expect, I think Ben Ainsley's team, the British, are strong. Jimmy's team are going to be strong. They're probably the ones we have our eyes on, but Team New Zealand as well with Pete, they had a really good day yesterday, and I think everyone every spectator is expecting them to jump up the fleet this year.
And good for you to mention the female popular program as well. Thank you very much indeed for that, Tom. Appreciate it. Let's move on to you, Jimmy. Good to see you. You came close last year. What's your strategy to beat Tom and his Australia team? Have you got much faith you can stop them doing the three-peat?
I think it's a little bit early to look towards the finish line just yet, and we're only just starting. But to be completely honest with you, we didn't get that close. I mean, we got to the main event, but the Aussie team were a clear step ahead. And I think Tom summed it up pretty well that at a level like this, in a boat that's so unique, those hours really do add up. And as he said, that team spent a significant amount of time together. But I think we've really looked hard at the data. We've tried to learn a lot from last season, even the days we've spent here. And I've just got to keep chipping away. It's an hours game. We've just got to keep operating as a team. And the race hours are really important. Because training's one thing, but when you get out in the heat of the battle, that's when you can really learn a lot and get some growth.
So the Slingsby line we're not great in line wins. The Spitzel line actually was with the underdogs. And yet, towards the end of the season, you were building up momentum, Jimmy. 3 third places, 2 second places. So when's this race win going to come?
Well, the race win, you want to get the race win at the end. Like Ben had a race win in season 2, but wasn't in the main event. The only race win that people remember is the one Tom won, because that's when you get paid. So, for us, that's the one we'd like to win. Clearly, we go into every event, and of course, you would love to win as many of these events as you can. But you can't forget that the end goal is to be in the main event. And to do that, man, you've got to be careful now. These penalty points, if you just have 1 or 2 collisions or contacts out there, that's season over. So with more boats, the team's pushing harder, and the race courses are tight, you've really got to think about that.
On that point, since you mentioned it, Jimmy, I mean, that season, as you said, pretty intense scratches. A few of them did admittedly involve your US team. Umpire's going to get tougher this year. They're going to try and avoid these situations. What's your take on that?
My take is that, you want to avoid them. You don't want to be a part of them. It's I can tell you firsthand, it's not a good thing. And I think, look, it's a new era kind of in this sport. We haven't had to deal with this before. We're kind of going through what motorsport goes through. And having said that, there's a real openness amongst all the skippers and all the teams and the organisers to really learn the lessons, because we don't want to see the boats come together. The last thing we want to see is anyone get hurt. So we have to learn these lessons, and at each event we're taking those forward. So, but for sure, our strategy is to try and stay away from this sort of stuff. Stay
clear of the drama. This event could be the perfect warm-up for your home event next month. There is one of your home events, Chicago's Navy Pier. How important is it to set the tone, get a good result here of some sort, and then get your season off on the right foot?
Well, we're trialling a couple of new guys, adding to our roster. We think this is really the only opportunity in the season where you get a handful of actual training days. The rest of the season, you're just flat out, just 1 or 2 practice days. So look, we're just trying to get the hours out there. Our 2 guys that have come in have fitted in really well. But again, you're going against seasoned teams that have spent a significant amount of time together. Clearly, our goal here would be great to get on the podium. That's our goal. But it's just to sell clean, consistent races, and just try and grow after each one. Chicago will be awesome. I mean, there's a few of us that have raced there in the past. I mean, it's just one of the awesome stadiums. It will be heavily attended. I mean, it's a real kind of sporting city, a lot of sports fans. So I think everyone will really enjoy that event.
Just bring it back to this weekend, Jimmy. In a racing sense, admittedly, Bermuda hasn't been too kind to you in the past. You lost the America's Cup here. Last year, taken out of the competition by the Japan team who collided with you. Is this the time that you make your way out of the triangle, you lift the curse?
Mate, I think you've lost your calling. You should give them the motivation to speak.
I'll try it one day, Jimmy. Maybe you can be one of my first guests.
No, you've got a real knack for it. I love Bermuda. I really do. I mean, a bunch of us spent a few years here, and man, I mean, obviously it's a beautiful place, but as everyone knows, when you get here, it's the people. They're really just a real welcoming bunch, and we were all sad when we actually had to leave the island. I have actually won here. I won a Gold Cup here, so I've got that in my back pocket. But I have to agree with you. When you look at the numbers, I don't know, maybe I'm in the triangle. Who knows?
Thank you, Jimmy. Appreciate that. So then, Ainsley, let's move on to you. We touched on it briefly with Jimmy. I mean, GBR also involved in a few racing incidents in season 2. What are your thoughts on the harsher penalties this time around?
Yeah, I agree with Jimmy. It's something that's evolving. As we get more boats on the race course, it's only going to get tighter as the teams get more confident in sailing the boats. It's something we need to avoid for obvious reasons, for safety reasons, and just keeping the boats racing, keeping them on the circuit. So the points are doubled, the penalties are doubled for this season to incentivise the teams to stay apart. And I think it requires a total rethink, really, in how you approach the racing. Certainly from our perspective, we fell out of it a couple of times last season for different reasons, but had taken the time between Sydney and this event, obviously San Francisco in the middle, to really evaluate how our sort of risk-reward approach to racing, and it's gonna be a factor for sure.
And given that, you say need to rethink. Do you think that as a result, teams are going to be maybe a little less aggressive? And the man to your immediate left said this about consistency, and that's what's been one of the keys for Australia. Is that going to be the key again this season?
I think so, yeah, for sure. And Tom and Jimmy have both said this. The only race that really counts is the final race that you've got to win. So it's about getting there. And if getting there means that you have to back off a bit and you've got to do everything you can to avoid coming together with another boat. That is, I think, a very big rethink for a lot of teams. Certainly for our team, the way we traditionally race, it's a big rethink.
Obviously, the data's all there for everyone to see. You keep an eye on one another. Who surprised you last season, Ben, and who you got your eye on this season?
I thought the Spanish team did exceptionally well last season. It was difficult for Phil managing the transition, but the young guys coming through, Jordy and the rest of the team, I think, really stepped up and impressed in San Francisco. From what I've seen, they've been going well in the training in Bermuda, and that's great to see a young team coming through and excelling at this level.
And we mentioned this before, Jimmy alluded to it's very early days, but it's Tom who's got the target on his back. Those 2 championships, how do you upset the apple cart? How do you change the narrative here?
I think the Australian team, they've proven the results that you're talking, they're very, very good. But it comes down to that final race, and I expect there will be a handful of teams that can make it into that final race, and any one of the finalists can win that race. So whilst the Australian set has been the outstanding team the last 2 seasons, everyone's chasing them, and I'm sure Tom would say the same, that there's no givens in this sport, particularly in a one-race sail for a middle class.
I talked to Jimmy about Chicago. After that, we go on another big European tour, looking a little further ahead. SailGP visiting the UK in late July. You didn't compete at your home race last year, but we know what the support of the home crowd means to you, Ben. How much are you looking forward to sailing back in Plymouth?
Really looking forward to it. I think Plymouth last year perhaps had the hottest temperature of any event in the SailGP, which is quite remarkable. And Plymouth home, if the sun's out, there'll be thousands of spectators there eating their fish and chips, watching the race and having a great time. And to race at home, for all of us, racing at home is extra special.
And back to this weekend finally, Ben, you're matching the Bermuda waters with your new team livery this season. You debuted it in San Francisco. How important a global platform is SailGP for you, and particularly the Protect Our Future campaign?
I think all of us at Racing SailGP are incredibly proud of what it stands for and the league we've developed, particularly the Impact League. And for our team to try and back that up with the Protect Our Future banner and the branding on our boat is really important to us. And also trying to find other businesses, brands that want to collaborate in that to step forwards and really start making a difference in the sector, which of course is so important for all of us. And sport, we know sport has this amazing opportunity to lead the way and inspire people, and we want to help do our bit there.
Fantastic, Ben, thank you very much indeed. So thank outright to Nikolai Seisted from the Denmark team presented by Rockpool. You're no longer the newcomers to the fleet, Nikolai. Does that take the pressure off, or does it actually add to expectations for you?
I think it adds pressure and expectations. We need to deliver good results, and to be honest, I think we're the ones putting the most pressure on ourselves. We want to win, and we want to get good results. So that's why we're pushing quite hard, and I think we can post some good results this season.
Yeah, you're on a steep learning curve last season, I guess. You did post some fleet race wins. What would you say your targets are? What would be a satisfactory season for Denmark in season 3?
If we win every single event and win SailGP, then I think we've done all right. But no, we just want to put some consistently good results. We had really good results last season, and we had really bad ones. We just need to be more consistent and just play the average game. That's what gets you in the top end of the season. So good average games with some podium finishes. That's definitely our target this season.
We're hearing from Tom and Jimmy about some new personnel. What's the thinking? You're changing up your crew as well. Just run us through that.
Yeah, we had, we're sort of launching Denmark 2.0 this season. It's very important for us to keep bringing in young talent and new sailors in Denmark and sort of creating a wide platform for daily sailing. So we have young talent coming in, and then we also have some experience. We stole a bride from Japan, so we get a bit of their knowledge and skills with Luke Payne. And that's, just trying to add more skill and experience and talent to the squad, and then that will secure the long future in terms of keep improving as a team.
And the team made an exciting announcement just ahead of the season in partnership with One Ocean. Can you just tell us a little bit about that and why it's important to the team and to Rockpool as well?
Yeah, we're very happy to partner with One Ocean Foundation. It's something that really fits well with Rockpool and our team, that sort of mentality and way of looking at things. So we're going to be launching a few different initiatives and some science projects together throughout each Grand Prix this season. And yeah, it's very exciting for us to really help sort of create awareness and inspire other people to follow the sustainable route that we're setting as a Danish team.
Fantastic, Nikolai. Thank you very much indeed. From One Ocean to Live Ocean, who are the purpose partner of the New Zealand team. Hey, good to speak to you again. I guess, especially with that particular hat on, which is so knitted into what you do at NZ, you must be pretty pleased to hear there what Nikolai was saying. It's a big passion of yours and the New Zealand team as a whole.
Yeah, well, personally, I very much believe that the 70% of the planet that doesn't get talked about enough in a conservational sense is the ocean. And it's great to see the Danish team bring on an ocean charity partner. But yeah, there's actually quite a few of them out there also. Like ourselves, Aussies are with Parlay. So it's really cool to see so many teams really trying to protect the playground we use and love being on.
You set the bar pretty high last year as you won the Impact League, Pete. How keen are you to repeat the feat, to retain the title?
Well, I think definitely the competition's heating up a lot in the Impact League. And yeah, we were very pleased with our performance as a team last year, and it was something we wanted to get out and to really take on and try and set the benchmark for the other teams. But in saying that, under no illusions it's going to be hard to win it again, but that's what we're trying to do.
And we know how competitive you are, how important a win on the water is as well. What were the learnings from your maiden season in SailGP? Are you approaching anything differently as a result of this campaign?
It was definitely a tricky season for us in season one. We missed a little bit of the training actually here in Bermuda right at the beginning of the season, which probably, and we were launching a new boat there, a few issues in that event, and then ended up missing the next two for the Olympic Games for myself and Blair. So it really felt like we were just a little bit on the back foot all season, and so that's why we've pretty much kept a very similar lineup this year. Obviously, we're missing our normal flight controller Andy, who's home, expecting their first child with his partner. But we're looking to just keep improving. We've made obviously a whole heap of changes to little areas, but I think a lot of the people that are led to me here have really hit the nail on the head when they've been saying we just need a lot of consistency. We've had some great parts, but we've also had some bad parts as well.
I mean, that's it. When Tom won 5 of 9 events that season, ultimately, again, it comes back to this word consistency, doesn't it? Or is there any other X factor you think Tom and his team have?
I think Tom's pretty good at sailing the boat fast and getting some pretty clean manoeuvres. So he definitely has been setting the benchmark. But that's the great thing about this league. We can all just see exactly what he is doing. We all know where that benchmark is, and we all know that he's going to keep getting better. So we've got to kind of be aiming slightly past where they are now. But we feel like we're closing the gap. We're really happy with how we performed yesterday and how we're performing in San Francisco. But definitely a few of the others here have talked about those collision penalties. It's something that we had a little crash in San Francisco, which cost us a whole heap of points. So it's definitely that motivation for keeping the boats apart. It's gone up so much this season.
It is an increasingly long season. 11 events, as we mentioned already, in just under 12 months. But if you were to look into your crystal ball and you're racing in San Francisco once again, New Zealand in the podium race?
Oh, for sure.
Fantastic. Okay, that pretty much wraps up the first part of this press conference in terms of my questions. Anyone in the room who would like to ask a question of our 5 drivers here in this first half, if you'd like to raise your hand so we can get a microphone to you. Or are we done? I think we're done. Great discussion to kick things off. So we're going to take a brief break before we bring our second flight of drivers in, and we'll reset back in a few minutes. Time once again, please give it up for Peter Burling, Ben Ainslie, Tom Sainsbury, Jim Shepherd, continue our look ahead to the SailGP Season 3 opener. Bermuda Sail Grand Prix presented by Hamilton Princess. Waiting in situ on stage are Olympic gold and silver medalist Nathan Attridge from Japan, the youngest driver in the league, two-time Olympian and world champion Sebastian Schneider of Switzerland, the third season running sporting new team colours Phil Robertson of Canada, fellow Olympian and European silver medalist in the Nacre class Quentin de la Pierre from France, and 2020 Olympic world medalist Julie Chamat from the Spain SailGP team. Welcome on all. Thank you so much for your time ahead of this first race of the new season. Nathan, we'll start off with you, if we may. Admittedly, I'm guessing this must be a pretty hard place for you to sit right now. Runner-up in both Season 1 and Season 2, but you find yourself without a boat and sitting on the sidelines as the season starts. How are you feeling right now?
Yeah, it's a really interesting situation to be a developing nation, building Japanese sailing talent, and coming second in the first 2 seasons, and to not be racing now is a little tough. But I fully understand the situation. This event's not just about results on the water; it's about making the teams financially successful as well, and that's where we're really struggling at the moment. We've identified great sailing talent in Japan, and we're getting great results in the water, but we haven't got the financial backing that we need to be on the start line this weekend. Everyone's aware that we now have 2 fully funded teams joining the league with Switzerland and Canada, which requires 10 boats to start, and the 10th boat's not ready. So, we've loaned the boat to Canada and loaned them a wing trimmer and a coach for the week, and we wish them all the best this week, and we're looking forward to getting back on the start line.
I'm sure they appreciate your generosity in that respect as well, Nathan. What's the plan for the Japan team during this period to make sure that we do re-enter the league, that you are competitive, and hopefully that will be around maybe Copenhagen, we think?
Yeah, it looks like boat 10 should be back online for the Copenhagen event. It's a moving target, as you know. Trying to build boats and travel things around the world at the moment is quite tough, so it's never confirmed. But we've been here for this week, getting a bit of the pre-season training. It's been really nice of all the teams to loan us their equipment. We know they're fragile pieces of equipment, and I really appreciate the trust that everyone's given us to get on the water and get some sailing time in. But really, the main team's focus right now is finance. If we can't secure finance, there's a real possibility that we might not make it to Denmark. It's no surprise to me that right now our results are fantastic, but if we don't get some financial investment, there are other teams and franchises out there who want to enter this league, and I'm well aware that if we can't get some money together, that the team could be sold to another country, and I might not see any of you guys again. So I'm working as hard as I can, and if there's anyone out there who would like to help us, get some finance together, whether it's people from Japan or people from around the world, I'd love to have a conversation.
Message loud and clear. Obviously, in terms of the sailing that you've done so far in this sport, you're the driver who's got closest to beating Australia. You come second twice in a row, so you'll probably have the best intel to how do we find that final step to do it? How do you stop Tom and Australia doing the 3-peat this season?
Well, I've had a good look at the negative point scoring system, and if anyone wants to run into Tom, that'll slow him up quite a lot. But in all seriousness, they sailed at another level last season, and Tom made it pretty clear with a consistent team of people, not just in the SailGP sailing that he's done, but that group of people that sail together have been sailing together for almost a decade. So, I think the rest of us teams just need to work as teams and as units, and the less changing of personnel that happen within teams, the more consistency you're going to get. So, Tom's built an incredible team, and we've been looking to do the same thing ourselves. And you build the people, you get them on the water, and you put the hours in, and that's why it's critical for us to be here this week to get some training time in, because it's going to be a good 3 months at best until we're back in the boat again.
As you say, you've been out this week on the water, and I'm sure you've been keeping an eye on a few other boats as well. You've got to your immediate left the newest driver of the league and one of the new teams, and then of course to your one more after that, you've got one of the other new teams. I mean, how do you think it's shaping up, particularly for Seven and Switzerland, and also the Canada team? You know, would it be a steep learning curve? Do you feel for them?
I think I'd be lying if I said it wasn't going to be a steep learning curve. You know, these boats are challenging to sail, and they require good crew work. You know, the back three sailors, especially, you know, the driver, the wing trimmer, and flight controller, they need to work as one. You know, and if you are a little bit out in one of those roles, the boat becomes a bit unstable. It gets difficult to sail. So, you know, you can't expect to come into this league, do 2 weeks of training, and be winning races. But having said that, you know, these teams are coming in with some great sailing talent, and you know, I watched the practice racing happening yesterday, and I'll watch it again today. But you know, I'm very impressed with the Canadian team. You know, we got to do a little bit of sailing on Monday. Our flight controller was injured, and Billy from the Canadian team put his hand up to come and sail with us. And you know, for someone who's probably done only less than 10 days of sailing in these boats, he was very impressive on the flight control. And we all know Phil's a rock star, and hopefully some tips from Chris Draper, you know, gets him in good position this weekend. So, you know, I think what it shows is if you pull in talent and experience from some of the, you know, senior teams here, hopefully, you know, you can get some good results. But, you know, I've seen the forecast for the weekend. It could be a little bit lighter, and, you know, this race course between Two Rock and Dockyard is quite tricky and quite shifty, and I think we're going to see some good racing.
Yeah, I'm sure you'll be interested in how they go this weekend. And I've also enjoyed the kind of cross-league camaraderie as well that you've alluded to there. That's fantastic, Nathan. Thank you very much indeed. Okay, let's switch over to Quentin. Quentin from the France team. Good to see you, Quentin. Now, admittedly, you came into the league under kind of tough circumstances, really. But are you now starting to feel at home in SailGP and in that F50?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, our team is growing up. I feel really good in this team. I think the management is really good, and our vision just stick together, and it's a good thing for the season.
Quite a significant decision that you and Kevin Pickleton have taken to call time on your Olympic careers to fully concentrate on SailGP. How much of a reflection is that of how important success in SailGP is to you, and also just an endorsement of what this series is?
Yeah, with Kevin, we take this decision last month. I think it just shows our commitment to SailGP, and we are definitely focused on it. He's a good friend of mine. He's a really good sailor also, and we've got the same vision, and I'm fully confident for the rest of the season with him.
You replaced Billy Besson as the driver of the France team. He made it to the podium twice, did he? So when are we going to see you on the podium then, Quentin?
Soon. I mean, I'm definitely focused on the overall ranking. I'm sure with Kevin joining, it will be a strong team for this season. And we are looking, first of all, for consistency. I think last season we were a little bit inconsistent. Sorry. Yeah, this season we're definitely looking for it.
It comes back to that word we heard in the first part of the news conference as well, consistency. I wonder how much that will be aided by the fact that you've got new crew but an all-French boat. I mean, how much of an impact will that have? How much of a difference does it make to how you communicate on board?
Yeah, it's a really good thing, speaking in French on board, but also keeping some English words for the maneuvers or the tactics, making this mix looks pretty good. And yeah, we are missing Lee McMillan with his English words at some points, but yeah, I think it will be better.
And just finally, one thing that the France team has really been championing is the inclusion of female athletes through SailGP's female pathway program. Can you just tell us about your program particularly, and who the stars are? Who should we be looking out for?
I mean, we have a really good female athlete group in France with Camille, Manu, Aloïse, and Amélie. I think they can be really good as a team, as a female team. And so we are pushing out with Bruno and the team to make some good project for them. Maybe some circuit to just build the team. And I mean, on the F50, they are really good. Amelie did a really good event in San Francisco, avoiding some close contact. And it's the first event for Manon here. And she already did some really good calls on board, so I'm not worried about them. And we also did a really good GC 32 training camp with 100% female athlete on board. I think it was the first time ever, and we were really proud of it. And they were all of them smiling all the way in the week, and it was really good.
Great to see. Thank you very much, Quentin. I appreciate that. Go well this weekend. Johnny, Jamal, let's speak to you next. Bienvenido. Good to see you again. Got to just briefly reflect on the end of season 2. Admittedly, a bit of fireworks in San Francisco. You're in the driving seat sooner than planned. We'll leave the fireworks bit just for now. But what was the lasting impression? How did that race go for you?
Well, it's amazing. To be honest, as I said in San Francisco, debuting in SailGP is a dream. Racing the legends of our sports in those kind of boats I think it's the dream of every sailor at this moment, no? And having the chance to debut in San Francisco was amazing, and to even perform, to put 2 podium finishes, a third and second in our first day of racing in the F50s in such a fleet as the one that was in San Francisco, last event of the season, everyone in full shape we were not expecting it, no? And well, the training was going very good, but obviously the racing is something different, no? And to be able to perform also on the racing was pretty unbelievable. We were not even expecting it, but yes, it also gave us a lot of confidence for this new season.
Well, it certainly impressed the GPR driver, Sir Ben Ainsley. He was talking you up and was very impressed. So that's high praise from one of the very best. However, the other end of San Francisco, we can't not mention this, the crash with Jimmy. Is your boat fixed? And what's going to say to Jimmy afterwards?
Yeah, I think the boat is fixed. I think in SailGP we're lucky to have the tech team and Brad. They did an amazing job as always, and the boat. You can even not see that there was a crash. No? So pretty impressive, and all the team is very thankful to them, to all the tech team, and yeah, I think. Sailing is changing, no? SailGP, I remember sailing redefined, no? Is one of the SailGP slogans, and it's exactly like this. Normally in sailing you're hitting a mark, and you never need to slow or but this sailing is changing. It's getting more like racing bikes or racing cars, no? And now you hit a mark and you need to, oh guys, maybe we need to slow. We've been training in this training days how to slow the boat. That is something that who would ever think in sailing will be slowing the boats, no? So I think sailing is going with SailGP towards a completely new era. It's changing, and obviously we sailors need to learn from that. Obviously in San Francisco we took a really big important lessons, especially for this next season. Our first goal of this season is to try to keep the boat in one piece, and yeah, we are also conscious that now how this sailing is developing. Yeah, we are sailors and we want to win and we want to be in the front and every mark grounding, but at the same time we are also risking quite a lot out there, and not only the boats but also the safety of the sailors. We are really aware of this, and for sure it's something that we will take a lot in mind this year.
You've got an injury in the team with Sean Campana, and you've also got a new grinder on board as well. How much does that make you, I suppose, adjust your expectations? Do you still expect to be competitive?
Yes, when I landed here in Bermuda. The first thing we did was going straight to the hospital, so was not the idea, no, to start the season. We have in our team, one of the things that we have is every member of the team is so important. We have divided a lot the roles on board. So when missing Joan is such a big loss for us. But well, we've been working together with the doctors in SailGP how to make some hands protector, and he has a broken bone, which is not easy. His hand is broken, but well, it's not discarded yet. We are going through different options, different possibilities. We have also our female athlete Paula, which is an amazing sailor, and she can do also other jobs. And yeah, we are still discussing within the team, but it's not nothing is confirmed.
Okay. Might make a miraculous recovery then. We'll keep a very close eye on that. What would success look like for the Spain team this year, Jordi? Can you make that top 3?
Well, I think to be honest, we don't need to forget that we are the youngest team out there by far. We are the youngest team if you look at all the crew, and this is something that it's a reality. No? The reality of our team is that we have still a lot to learn, a lot to improve. But I think we've shown or we know that with our potential. I think in San Francisco you could start seeing some flashes of our potential in the training. Also here we feel our potential. We know obviously there's a big gap to the Aussies, to the British, to the legends of our sport. No, it's hard to beat them, but and to be realistic, we are not so close. But at the same time, we know where are our strong points. We believe in them, and we know that facing our racing towards our strong points and being smart. We can also, at the end, the racing is so short, it's 50 minutes, it goes like this, and being smart, we can also do a good job. So our focus will be on continue learning every event, and yeah, we will see where the Spanish can get.
I'm enjoying your enthusiasm. I can tell you're excited about the new season. Thank you, Jordi. Go well. Sebastian Scheisser, welcome along. Bienvenue. First time at SailGP, first press conference. You've been waiting a while to get your hands on the wheel of an F50. How excited are you? How has that induction been for you, Seb?
Yeah, it's been a long time waiting. I think we announced the team last summer almost, and it's been a lot going on since then. And yeah, the introduction to the F50 has been really intense. I mean, first day of training as a team on the boat, we had 20 knots, we got to Fairway, out of the harbor, and I think we almost did 50 knots, and we still not really knew what we were doing on the boat. So again, yesterday, first time sailing on the start line, sailing without boats, and yeah, it's been pretty hectic, but a lot of fun, and we're super excited.
Can you try and paint a bit of a picture for us? I mean, many of us will never get the chance to do it, but what's it actually like to drive an F50?
Yeah, it's something very unique, and I wish everybody could try it because, I mean, I was trying to get prepared as much as I could for this, but in the end, I think there's nothing that gets you close to what you can feel on a F50. It really feels like you're driving a monster that can bite you back at any time. So, you know, you gotta treat it with a lot of respect, but also a lot of confidence, because there's only one way you can sail those boats, and it's full steam. So yeah, definitely trying to push.
So an insight maybe into the tactics of the Swiss team for this year. I love that. You're the youngest driver in the fleet. How do you look at it? Is it a disadvantage because of your inexperience compared to the likes of Ben Ainsley, Thompson, Jimmy Spizzle, etc., Nathan to your right, or an advantage because actually you might have a bit of surprise factor?
Yeah, I think sailing as a sport is quite important to have the experience, and the experience plays a massive role. I think especially on those boats, you know, every hour you can spend on the F50, it's worth the gold. So for sure, I think being young is not a massive advantage, but I think it's also good because you got to learn really fast especially on the SailGP. You don't have so much training, and I think being young and really switched on and motivated is gonna help us to learn as fast as we can. And you know, with all the data we can collect, we can really try to close that gap quickly. And you know, I think we've got time to learn, and we're really keen.
I think it's going to be fascinating seeing the young guns yourself, Jordan, you mentioned before, and those established names, and see how that all stacks up, how the dynamic will work. And as we approach this first event, I mean, sailing in practice, sure, important, right? But when you have 9 F50s on the start line here in Bermuda, what goes through your head at that point, ahead of the very first race?
Yeah, that's a really good point. You know, we've been sailing here 2 weeks, or around 10 days on our own on the Great Sound with the whole area for ourselves. And you know, we were trying to push as hard as we could the maneuvers. We knew that coming racing day would be much more intense, but even if we tried our hardest, yesterday was the first time for my team to be on the start line and be in the race course with the other guys. And it felt like we were thrown in a washing machine and just really know what was happening. After the first race, we had to take a big breath and, you know, try to realize what's happening. And I think we improved a lot during that first day, just 3 races. And we're looking to go out today for another practice day and learn from that and learn as quick as we can to be, you know, in a shape that Saturday, Sunday we can fight in the mix and have some solid races.
Fantastic. Debut season for Switzerland, which we hope it goes well for you. Thank you, sir.
Thanks.
And last but by no means least, Phil Robertson from the Canada team. Phil, good to speak to you again. Thank you for your patience. So, 30
You're really dragging this one out.
I know, dude, I'm sorry. 3rd season in SailGP, 3rd time with a different team. So, obviously, you know, it's great. We've got another new team in Canada, and you know, we know you guys have got real quality and added value to offer. What's different this time, Phil?
I think what's quite cool about, I guess, starting your 3rd team is you've done a lot of learning with the first 2, and you've made some mistakes, and you've learned from them, and you put that all into practice with this team. So we're coming out a lot stronger than we did with all the other teams, and yeah, I'm confident we've got a good mix of people and a great team behind us, and yeah, I'm happy with where we're at.
Okay, flesh that out for us if you can. Tell us about the team. Tell us about your goals this season, Phil.
Yeah, quite simply, we've got fantastic owners as the first and foremost, and Fred and Chantal Pye, and yeah, they just do a great job in the background, making sure everything's sorted, and they know how to have fun as well. And that's a big part of our team in Canada. We're here to have a good time, and yeah, I guess the main goal for us is to inspire the next generation, and that's why we carry the slogan, "We can inspire." And unfortunately, Canada doesn't have a huge background in sailing at this level recently, and you know, we want to inspire the next generation of kids to come and take our jobs in the future and beat all these guys around us.
So is that it? It's Canada is the fun team in SailGP, or is there something a little bit deeper and steely and determined about them as well?
Yeah, I'm not sure if you know me very well, but I quite like to have fun, but more importantly, we're here to win, and you know, that's what we're set out to do. Our goal is to be competitive as soon as possible and be beating the guys at the top of this league. Yeah, we're competitors, and we're very determined and motivated to be at the top of this league.
You have, as you mentioned, you've brought an inexperienced team into the league before and got them competitive quickly. How did you do it? What's the strategy?
Can't take that. But no, look, I think SailGP does a fantastic job of getting these boats on the start line in one piece, and giving teams like Canada and Switzerland the opportunity to actually be competitive right from the get-go. And they've got amazing tools outside of the F50 to learn how to sail these boats and put all that together, and you can actually come in and jump on one of these boats with very little experience and be somewhat competitive. So with a bit of experience on board and knowledge from the past, I think you can come in and be racing near the top of the fleet fairly quickly. So yeah, it's a big testament to SailGP and what they do with the series.
It sounds like, you know, you're going to give us some exciting racing to look forward to, Phil. maybe some aggressive racing. But as you said, you've grown, you've made mistakes, you've learned from them. Are you going to be dialing that back in, or are you still going to be just full steam ahead?
Yeah, same old Phil, different season. Yeah, we'll be pushing hard.
Simple as. Now, admittedly, we know the story of San Francisco, what happened with the Spain team. We're not going to get into too much of that, but just deep down inside you, if you were to outclass them, your previous employers this season, would that be very, very satisfying for you, Phil?
To be honest, we don't really care. Couldn't give a rat's ass, to be honest. We've got one focus, and it's on the Australians, and like everyone else here, they're a step ahead, and we need to catch up, so we're solely focused on them and being as good as them.
Fantastic. Well, that pretty much draws to a close the second part of the preview press conference for this first Sail Grand Prix of the season. Please give it up once again for Nathan Outridge, Sebastian Schneider, Phil Robertson, Conrad Delapierre, and Jordan Chapman.